Okay.
Whoa, I didn't fall over tonight. Welcome to the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. I'm Thundercloud. Mum calls me James, washing away the garbage, leaving rainbows after rains. Have we got a show for you tonight? Probably. It won't be broadcast on Facebook, but it will be up on YouTube. So hello out there in the, not the metaverse, the YouTuberverse, where my Facebook accounts have been hacked and they cannot be accessed, and that includes the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame account. So for anyone out there watching in the World Wide Web, you'll now have to watch on Facebook, and I'll probably start to put it on Spotify sooner or later. Right, let's begin the night with acknowledging country. We're here on Banned by Kamilaroi land, and I'd like to acknowledge the continuing connection of the elders, past, present and emerging, and that sovereignty has never been ceded. And welcome to all the poets tonight. Hello, poets! Oh yes, we've got life here. Good, oh, excellent. All right, we got a bit of a show for you tonight. Later on, Paul will be here, and we've got a birthday surprise from his sister. Chrissy from Ballarat has also been at it, and she's collected some more books and sent us another package of books this week. And I'm going to be reading out of one of those. It's Colin Johnson, who's a First Nations poet from Western Australia. He's a Bibbulmun from the Swan River of Western Australia. His alter ego as a poet is also Mudruru. If you've ever seen any poetry by him, that's his other name that he uses. This book that I'm reading out of tonight, The Song Circle of Jackie. And yeah, it comes with a... I guess it comes with a concept warning for anyone who's soft-hided, soft-skinned. The Song Circle of Jackie, the first part of the book, is 35 different songs. And then there's a heap of poetry after that. It was published in 1983 from memory, this one. 1987, sorry. 86. All right, so this is Song 5 from the Song Circle of Jackie. Ned Kelly, the Irishman, disliked the English for tyranny, carried on in the new country. Left alone to do as he pleased, he might have died just a farmer, left to law and legend. He became a sort of hero, discussed by girls and boys. Life is not as absurd as reasoned. Man is more than a useless passion strung up in the gallows tree, either a hero or a crim. Decide to choose or not to choose, much like to shave or not to shave. So all together now, Ned Kelly was a man who rode through this land, an Irishman brave and true. Then the British hung him high so that his feet danced in the sky. And Jackie says they did the same too to Yagan, Melville Harry, Brogger, Laurie Jack, L.A. Mara, Tall Boy, Meridio, Theramichi, and too many Jackies. Song 7. This was written in memory of Bob Marley, died the 11th of May, 1981. And yeah, one thing, it's, by the way, it's Bob Dylan's birthday today. Is that right, Doug?
Correct, mate.
Thank you very
In the
much.
States. Like, we're a day ahead, you know.
Okay, it was yesterday here. Song 7 from the Song Circle of Jackie and selected poems of Colin Johnson, Mud Ruru. Rustamani come Australia, Rustamani come our land, Rustamani see how they treat I. See I and I have no land, holes in the ground. See I and I no land, only holes in ground. And he got pain in chest, and he feel it in breast. Rustamani listen I and I, Rustaman sing I and I. Sing, stand up for your rights, sing, Zion land, your own holy land. Rustamani sings us out of fear. But he see those holes in ground, sing the blame and sing the name. Rustamani feel our pain. A bullet in his chest, a knife in his breast. Now Rustamani track all over the country. Drink our water, eat our roo, taste our herb. He walked this way, he walked that way, fill those holes in ground. Faster he fill, faster they dig. Faster he fill, faster they dig. Turn into big rock to save one place. Pain in head and pain in chest. For an I and I die, for I and I die, singing our song to protect the land. And the last one, here's the last poem in the book. Did Wandjina mark out the land? And the Wandjina are like the spirits. Did Wandjina mark out this land? Did he? Did they? Tell me this. Did Wandjina mark out this land? Did he? Did they tell us to live in Tyre? Did he? Did they? Yes, he did. Well, what is this Christian God teaching us to rape earth, separate ourselves and rape earth, lose our manhood as we rip our mother? Did Wandjina mark out this land? Did they? What is this domination then? This conquering, this power, this individuality? Did Wandjina mark out this earth? Who changed it? Who changed it? What is this Christian God? What is this denomination of puny humans? When they die, to whom do they return? When they die, how shall they face? Wandjina, who marked out this land, didn't he? Didn't they? He did. All right. So, yeah, there's a little bit in here about Colin Johnson, which I was going to read to you, but I didn't get to. But that's all right. The next one, I've lost my books. I don't know where I've stuck them. Oh, yeah, here we are. All right. Some of the other books that Chrissy from Ballarat sent us, 2 Centuries of Australian Poetry and Australia, the Land of My Birth, collected verse of G. Kirk Jenkins. This one here I've chosen. It's edited by Mark O'Connor, published by Oxford University Press in 1988. It's an interesting collection. It's separated into different parts like European contact, the Aboriginal world, white on black, becoming a nation, vernacular, landscape, migrant experience, war, etc. I'll be reading The Evening Star from Song Cycle of the Moonbone, which is Wanguri Mandjigai people. The Evening Star. Up and up soars the evening star hanging there in the sky. Men watch it at the place of the dugong and of the clouds and of the evening star. A long way off, at the place of mist, of lilies and of the dugong, the lotus, the evening star hangs there on its long stalk, held by the spirits. It shines in that place, in the shade of the dugong place, and on to the moonlit clay pan. The evening star is shining back towards Milingimbi and over the Walumba people. Hanging there in the distance towards the place of the dugong, the place of the eggs, of the tree limbs rubbing together, and of the moonlit clay pan, shining on its short stalk, the evening star, always there at the clay pan at the place of the dugong. There, far away, the long string hangs at the place of the evening star, the place of the lilies. Away there at Malingimbi, at the place of the full moon, hanging above the head of that Wanguri tribesman, the evening star goes down across the camp among the white gum trees. Far away, in these places near Milingimbi, goes down among the Nguruwulu people towards a camp and the gum trees. At the place of the crocodiles, the evening star, away towards Milingimbi. The evening star is going down, the lotus flower on its stalk, going down among all those Western clans. It brushes the heads of the uncircumcised people, sinking down in the sky, the evening star, the lotus, sinking on the foreheads of all those head men, onto the heads of those sandfly people. It sinks there into the place of the white gum trees at Milingimbi. Okay, and this is John Manifold's Brown, Black, White. This is also quite powerful. Just background for this, Kanaka labourers, they were more like slaves who were shanghaied and stolen from the Pacific back in the 1800s. Yeah, they lived here for generations, and then a lot of them were sent back after Federation and the White Australia policy, but this is before that. And anyway, have a listen. Brown, black, and white. Observing that Kanakas pined for native meats and native sports, the Cardwell settlers were inclined to grant a holiday of sorts. So their brown slaves in shirts and shorts of spotless Sunday cleanness lined up after church were told the courts on this occasion wouldn't mind. Each team was issued with a gun, powder and shot, but don't be lax, and blaze away regardless not. Unbiased counsel, off they run to hunt those unproductive blacks, the genuine locals for the pot. Yeah, so I take a lot of positivity from the fact that our new Prime Minister has said that he's going to enshrine a First Nations voice in the Constitution as wanted, as requested by the Makarrata Statement from the heart. And it pleases me, but in that, as part of that, it's necessary to have that truth-telling and confront that history. It doesn't mean that we are responsible for it, but it is our responsibility as people who live in this country to tear down and remove those structural barriers and that structural violence that ends up with more than 30% of our prison population being First Nations when they're only 3% of the actual population. And as the Makarrata statements, they are not, the Makarrata statement says that the First Nations people are not inherently a bad people. So on that note, I'm going to move on now and invite, who have I got? Ashley up. Ashley, and he's got a Barnaby Joyce story for us as well.
I wasn't going to start with that. I didn't tell this story, did I, about my dad and Mr. Anthony and Barnaby and myself? Well, it's a short story. And I should begin by saying that I looked for my 3 rulers tonight, and I'm in so much chaos over various issues that I could only find these 3 fingers: hypothesis, implication and parameter. My hypothesis is that I could remember to bring my rulers but couldn't find them. My brain is holding together. The implications of that may open to future thoughts and poems and songs. And the parameters of that, well, eventually in dream and wine and tide and time, the parameters of all our visions are limited, because I was waxing about Thomas Hobbes last week. So I've been reading the Leviathan, and every day I've been thinking of his words, whatever we imagine is finite. And I sent those words on this glorious machine to a French filmmaker friend, and she got very upset, and I think it upset her romantic vision of the infinite. Be that as it may, I'll start with the story. In 1971, my father was in the main street of Murwillumbah near the White Clock. I think I've told this before, but it bears many things in its frame. And he was with Harry Williams, who was a very powerful businessman and ran a seed corporation, and Doug Anthony, who was leader of the Nationals, the then Country Party, and often acting Prime Minister. And they were in the main street, would have been late 71, and my father said to them, "Come on, it's time you recognise China. The United States will get in and do this shortly and get all the business and trade that we could get now." And Mr. Anthony and Mr. Williams turned around and said to my father, "Oh, Ralph, you're always going on about the Chinese. They're just red atheists. They'll never amount to anything." And close to 50 years, perhaps a bit more later, I was in the main street of Uralla on the 22nd, and I'd seen Barnaby twice that day, which is a curious thing that happens in New England. If you're retired and you wander, or wander as a poet as I do, often between Guyra, Armidale and Uralla, you bump into people cosmically. So I'd seen him twice that day, and on the afternoon I was in the main street and he was there, and I thought, well, I'll raise my voice talking to another friend and he'll hear what I'm saying and he'll come up to me and he'll say, "I want to hear that, I want to hear that." So I said to my friend, seeing Barnaby a few metres down from the bank, I said that story about Doug Anthony and Mr. Williams and my dad back in late 71. And then I thought, well, Barnaby will hear me if I raise my voice and say, Barnaby would like to hear this. So he came up to me and he said, "What is it? What is it?" And I said this to him. You remember Mr. Anthony, who was once the head of your party and acting Prime Minister, as you've often been? And he said, "Oh yes, of course." I said, "Well, my father was in the main street of Murwillumbah in late '71, and they were discoursing, and Ralph was saying that it would be good to get in quick, recognise China and build profitable legs on the table of trade and production for us as a nation." And they turned around and said to him, "Oh, Ralph, you're always going on about the Chinese. They're just red atheists. They'll never amount to anything." And my dad turned around and walked away. And I said to Barnaby, as he got upset, I could see he realised they were going to lose the election. They must have had very good, thorough, pre-polling research that almost for sure said they were goners. I could just sense that. Poets do sense. Sometimes she's right, the poet, and sometimes she's wrong. But I was right. And I said to him, "That's upset you, that story about my dad and Doug and the vicissitudes of 1971. And he said, "Yes, it has." And he walked up a few paces and went into the bank, and then he came back out. And as he went past me, I called out heroically, "Don't forget that, don't forget that." And he raised his hand like this in silhouette to me and said, "No, I won't." Moments of history on the granite tableland. Two members of the Australian community who became Prime Minister for days at a time, and then the father and son confronting them over an issue that's going to confront us more and more and more. Now, I sat and thought that I should mention what I've been reading, as I always do. I don't suppose many people would get my reference, but I have for 2 weeks been wandering up and down thinking of this rhythmic chant. S Miss S, S Miss S, S Miss S, more, S Miss S, more. And the Indians start chanting away in the courtroom at Chandrapur, because I've been reading as never before the Divine, A Passage to India by Ian Forster. A truly extraordinary and remarkable piece of writing. But I'd never listened to it previously. And I realised that there's so much come and and boom all the way through it, that to listen to A Passage to India is a revelatory experience. And at 70, I did this journey of sonic splendour to try to understand why Forster stopped writing. I couldn't understand it when I went to that text at 20 or 40 or 50 or even 60, but now I understand why he stopped writing, more or less. So next, so the plug was listen to the various recordings you can find of Forster's enigmatic A Passage to India. Robert Graves wrote a classic, a very painful classic, I think, called Goodbye to All That. And there's a half page in it that haunts me and that I thought was germane to the spirit of our days now and the atmosphere. So on page 102 of Goodbye to All That. Terrible, terrible cover, but still, there we go in time and space, across the wasteland. He refers to organising to write a book with T.S. Eliot in this, when Eliot was a harassed bank clerk, which makes me laugh. He's in the tumult of war, and he writes, "One day, walking along a trench at Cumbreen, I suddenly dropped flat on my face. 2 seconds later, a whiz-bang struck the back of the trench. exactly where my head had been. The sergeant who was with me walking a few steps ahead turned round. "Are you killed, sir?" The shell was fired from a battery near La Brigue Farm, only 1,000 yards away, so that I must have reacted simultaneously with the explosion of the gun. How did I know that the shell would be coming my way? At Bethune, I saw the ghost of a man named Private Challoner, who'd been at Lancaster with me, and again an F Company at Wrexham. When he went out with a draft to join the 1st Battalion, he shook my hand and he said, "I'll meet you again in France, sir." In June, he passed by our C Company billet, where we were just having a special dinner to celebrate our safe return from Quichy. New potatoes, fish, green peas, asparagus, mutton chops, strawberries and cream, and 3 bottles of pomade. Private Challoner looked in at the window, saluted and passed on. I could not mistake him. On the cap badge he wore, yet no Royal Welsh Battalion was billeted within miles of Bethune at that time. I read those words again because of the final drift of this. I could not mistake him or the cap badge he wore, yet no Royal Welsh Battalion was billeted within miles of Bethune at that time. I jumped up, looked out of the window, and saw nothing except a fag end smoking on the pavement. Challoner had been killed at Festubert in May. So that's the ghost's story. Perhaps he saw his friend who died at roughly that moment on a battlefield some kilometres away through the indigestion of that nice repast that he and his comrades were sharing at the side of that window. I got this on the bargain bin, Georgian poetry selected and introduced by James Reeves. And I thought that Reeves' introduction was masterly. He talks about the natural simplicity, the emotional warmth, and the natural moral innocence of the poets of that constellation. W.H. Davies, de la Mare, actually Robert Graves, and a number of others. And I realised that when you pour their thoughts and their moods and texture into whatever form you might like to pour it, it's got a lot of connection to what Australians, past and present, try to idealise in forms of thought coming to us through words. So he inspired me to have a look at W.H. Davies. He puts a lot of Davies poetry into this collection, and when we were kids, Davies was often at our dinner table because the people in my family would always be quoting those lines, "What is life if full of care? I have no time to stand and stare." And so often in my life at dinner tables, W.H. Davies would pop up. And I hadn't read this poem, and James Reeves said, well, it's masterly of its tone and style. I think has a relationship to ... The hospital waiting room. We wait our turn as still as mice for medicine free and free advice. 2 mothers and their little girls, so small, each one with flax and curls, and I myself the last to come. Now as I entered that bare room, I was not seen or heard, for both the mothers, one in finest cloth, with velvet blouse and crocheted lace, lips painted a red and powdered face, the other ragged, whose face took its own dull white and wormy look, exchanged a hard and bitter stare, and both the children sitting there, taking example from that sight, made ugly faces full of spite. This woman said, though not a word from her red-painted lips was heard, "Why have I come to this, to be in such a slatten's company?" The ragged woman's look replied, "If you can dress with so much pride, why are you here so neat and nice, for medicine free and free advice? And I, who needed richer food, not medicine to help my blood, who could have swallowed then a horse and chased its rider round the course, sat looking on, ashamed, perplexed, until a welcome voice cried, 'Next!' And a couple more poems before I go off to the stars this evening. W.H. Davies wrote Competitors, which I read as I had the experience of this book. And I thought that, like Hospital Waiting Room, profoundly witty and wittily profound. Competitors. I had a friend to smoke and drink. We dined at clubs and saw the play, till love came like the smallest wind and looked him quietly away. So friendship goes, and love remains, and who can question which is best, a friendship reared on the bottle, or a love that's reared at the breast? Yeah, sardonic, isn't it? But it has a sort of, you didn't just have to sit in London and read Freud. You could, funny enough, he ended up his life there and died there. But you could read W.H. Auden, well, that's true too, but W.H. Davies too. The last one I'll read, I was surprised that Reeves puts in Robert Graves. I hadn't thought of him as a Georgian poet. But as the professor likes to agree, he's off on another foreign jaunt right now, with his trumpet, I suppose, giving a lecture on economic theory with lots of and indeed, we're discovering Robert Graves is a very great poet indeed. There are a number of Graves' poems in this anthology, but what intrigued me, if you can get your mind to it, is that a lot of the poems Reeves chose are not connected to Graves' collected works, which I find really fascinating, having a copy of the collected works and having missed out on these 7 or 8 really fascinating poems till now. So I'll finish with A Boy in Church, which is probably the lesser of the 10 or 12 poems he chose, but, who knows about biggest. A Boy in Church. Gabble, gabble, brethren, gabble, gabble, my window glimpses larch and heather. I hardly hear the tuneful babble, not knowing nor much caring whether the text is praise or exhortation, prayer or thanksgiving or damnation. Outside it blows wetter and wetter. The tossing trees never stay still. I shift my elbows to catch better the full round sweep of heathered hill. The tortured copse bends to and fro in silence like a shadow show. The parson's voice runs like a river over smooth rocks. I like this church. The pews are staid. They never shiver. They never bend or sway or lurch. Prayer, says the kind voice, is a chain that draws down grace from heaven again. I add the hymns up over and over until there's not the least mistake. 771. Look, there's a plover. It's gone. Who's that saint by the lake? The red light from his mantle passes across the broad memorial grasses. It's pleasant. It's pleasant here for dreams and thinking, lolling and letting reason nod, with ugly, serious people thinking prayer chains for a forgiving God, but a dumb blast sets the trees swaying with furious zeal like madmen praying.
Thank you very much.
You can have that for a fortnight. There's some great stuff in that.
Thank you, Ashley. Always enjoyable. Thank you very much, Ashley. All right, who's coming up here after Ashley? We've got Doug coming up, and a quick one from me. This one was written with my own hand because my Facebook was hacked this week. I haven't been able to use my thumb, so I had to use a pen, but this one was written many years ago. Dolphins swim and dive in seas. Dolphins in the waves is free. Dolphin jumps and plays in waves. Dolphins enjoy life every day. Just like Doug here. Come on up, Doug.
Shit, man. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Okay. Good evening. I was just wondering, or what's the word, envisaging, is there any way we can get a screen up the other side here and all our raving fanatical, what do you call them, the cheer squad, or we could watch them cheering us? Is there any way we could get them on the screen?
No,
Bit of reciprocation. We're doing all the bloody work. I want to see them cheering and waving.
We could do it Zoom.
Dreaming.
I don't know.
We could Zoom
Just a
it.
thought, mate.
One day you'll be able to come and there'll be a big board with 100 faces from around the world watching you. And you can watch the faces beam down at you.
Wow. Look
Live.
forward to it, mate. Thank you.
Can you write the grant for that?
Okay,
You could do it now, couldn't you? Yeah.
enough trivia. Well, most of this could be trivia. Just while it's in my head, I believe a friend of ours, Paul, is celebrating his birthday. And all I want to say is, from the heart, I hope you have an operatic birthday celebration, brother. Operatic.
Proud!
From the heart.
Oh, the angels have just chimed in.
Okay, I have got this little poem, very recent, I just did it quick, I couldn't. We've got one ready for next week. I'll tell you what next week's is. James reminded me and us maybe that it's Dylan's birthday today, and I'm a little bit of a tragic. He's been talking enigmatic stuff to me for 50 years. And some of it gets through to me and freaks me out sometimes. Anyway, next week I'm going to do one titled well, I think it's going to be titled A World Full of Lies, and that's a Dylan line, one of his fairly recent. He's living in a world full of lies, and I'm going to try and do a poem about that. And yet I hope it won't be too conflicting. That's next week, God willing. I just got to give one more little quote of Dylan's out of his latest album. What's it called? Rough and Rowdy Ways. Last year he did. One of the lines out of one of his songs says, "You own the land, but so do I." I don't mind that. Give myself some strength to have some right, even if I haven't got it in a linear fashion. You own the land, but so do I. That sounds like some sort of community effort. Okay, here we go. The title of this thing's called, is that work? I don't care. Oh yeah, one more little thing. I like how Ashley gives us a lot of anecdotal stuff, a background, you know, and I don't want to overdo it, but one of the lines that come through my head today was listening to some of the stuff that's in the media and the to and fro. And one of the things I'm not going to do today, or endeavour not to do, is apologise for being indoctrinated. I was raised in a universe of indoctrination. And today, I don't apologise for it, but I'm, by the grace of some force of power, I'm starting to recognise that I don't have to be swallowed by indoctrination as I have been for a lot of my life. You told me so, it must be true. World full of lies. I like that. Okay, here we go. This title of this thing's called Excuses. Okay, this is my stuff, obviously. Excuses are abuses. Don't tell me why. Just be on time. You make me wait. You make me sweat. You cause the fret. Please don't explain down bullshit lane. Delete the reasons. Oh, so plain. What flat tire? Why didn't you fix it many months ago? This thing deflates. Get on your ball. You're breaking down. You make me cry. You hold me up with feeble eye. Wind up your clock. I need relief. Get in the bus. Don't make a fuss. Don't need your ruse. All your reasons. Get out of head and live the seasons. Your brain can kill. Long way to heart. Heart is true. Stop your think. Just live it simple. Do your thing. Don't work it out. Just dance and shout. Johnny O'Keefe. Oh, yeah, it's all right. Douse you're clever. Get out of proof. And unify. Right brain allows the journey home. Just give a cuddle. I'll lift you from your bundle. That's all it is. I've got one more little bit, if you don't mind. This is from outer space. I'll always give you a little bit of extraterrestrial. The book called Exoconscious about humans somehow finding their way through a world of increasing artificial intelligence and retaining their consciousness. I just read a little bit, so it's quite a fascinating thing for me. I know something about the author. Anyway, and one of the things I want to share is I love to polarise. It's got to be that, or it's got to be that. And one of the things she's endeavouring to suggest, maybe our future could be a blend of artificial, call it what you want to, technology and consciousness. It could possibly be a blend. At the moment it's a bit friggin' scary because it seems like one side's got hold of us by the short and curlies. Anyway, I'll read a little, just one introduction paragraph and I'll shut up. Clearly Silicon Valley wants the future human, in brackets, transhuman, to be controlled by computers. That's what they say. The alternate to a technocratic matrix is an evolution in consciousness. Humanity rises, evolves to a new level of awareness and capability. This book explains how that may well be happening with the help of others who've already made this leap and are here to help. In brackets, maybe visitors from other dimensions. Very productive reading. Anyway, I'll share it with you. Thank you very much.
You're a man who's lived in the UFO museum, haven't you? You've
Yes,
lived in the UFO museum.
Several, quite a while. I've been indoctrinated, brother.
Home. ET reference there. I was young enough.
Yeah.
Mother of Ducks Lagoon.
Whack.
Whack.
Remember that?
I really have written so little in the last week because my Facebook's been hacked. I've hardly written anything actually, just this one thing, which was written, what's the date?
25th.
Oh, today.
Okay.
The lagoon is the mother of ducks, providing, as all good others do, an abundance of nurturance. A nesting place, a feeding place, a resting place, a growing place, a swimming place, a flying place, a coming and a going, but a homely kind of place. That's it. Nice and short and sweet, doesn't have to be long. And on that note, I'm going to invite our birthday boy up. Boy, Paul Wood. Happy birthday, Paul. Yeah, he's limping. Because, hey?
Mid-50s.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
He's just a young fella, James, don't forget it. Now, this fella tonight, ladies and gentlemen, he's just come in for a meeting of the Royal Society of Premature Ejaculators. But they all left early. Now, this fella, he wasn't very good at school, but he did get one question right.
What question?
Who farted? Now this fella knows that a wink's as good as a nod to a blind horse and so's a wink. Now, this fella went out and bought a 4-man tent. And the salesman said, "Are you gonna put it up yourself?" And he said, "No, in the backyard." Now give this fella a great big hand.
Oh.
The Gregorian chants begin.
It's your party.
Yeah, well, just got to say, very nice to be here tonight, folks. See all the old friends, the smiling faces, the great poets, and of course, I look forward always to hearing our good friend Doug. I take a lot of wisdom from his words. Very wise man, very good fella, good poet, very informative, very entertaining. Now, tonight, I just want to bring to a notice to the poets a correction from last week. You might remember that I was blagging on endlessly about the CSSR Orchestra. The CSS, for those people out there in YouTube land at least, I was blagging on about the CSSR Orchestra and Ravel's Pavane. But again, that was misinformation. That CSSR Orchestra applied to Grieg's piano piece, which is called Wedding Day at Troldhagen. So for all those people out there that have got, shall we say, are easily entertained and are quite bored after the show, then watch Wedding Day at Troldhagen by Edvard Grieg with the CSSR Orchestra. Very, very good to listen to. Small piece, one of the 26 lyric pieces that Grieg wrote. And he, by the way, wrote Hall of Mountain King and something else I forgot.
The piano concerto.
Oh, it might be that. Yeah, it might be that. Now tonight, I haven't got much to talk about in the way of music. Not much to talk about in the way of opera. I'll just give a big shout out to a few people, the usual gang, but also to Jason and Rebecca, my nephew and niece in Victoria, Julie's children, and of course a big call out to Chrissy, etc. Now, just to cover last week's topic, because I haven't thought about a new type for this week. So I'll just retread that one. Again. Maurice Ravel, the Pavane. Eric Satie, the Gymnopédie, 1 to 3, and especially number 1, and the Gnossins 1 to 6, very good piano pieces, very good for your relaxation in these times of great stress. And
Yep.
it's just James just interfering with everything as usual. Without his stuff, without something. He's got something going.
We got a
This is better than James.
Lights.
Hello.
Happy birthday
to you.
Happy birthday, dear Paul. Happy birthday to you.
Hip hip.
Hip hip. Hooray. Hip hip. Hooray. Hip hip. Hooray. Oh.
That's not COVID safe.
Yeah,
All right. Well, I'm going to interrupt this and push him off the stage. Can we have the lights back on, please?
You missed it.
You missed it, Bobo. Now, this particular celebration was actually set up by Paul's sister Julie in Ballarat, who has sent Paul this birthday present all the way from her family in Ballarat. So there you go. Happy birthday, Paul.
Oh, thank you, James. I just got to say, James, it's a tough life for everybody. It's a tough life for everyone. And one of the happy moments of my life is being here amongst you people, I've got to say. And when James first come to town, I was quite suspicious he's just some sort of hippie jerk, trying to take advantage of Gyra, trying to pants the women, get some free money. I had that a bit wrong, but anyway, I've got to say, I feel very privileged that I can be here on these nights and to be amongst the people, the comrades that we have, and to listen to the good words and to just add something I can. And it's as I sort of progress on the journey through life, I'm still quite young. I'm still quite young.
Yeah.
But as I progress on the journey through life, I just got to say that I forgot.
Only kids.
What I am now, I class myself as a Parramatta Road used car, and my clock's going backwards. So if it keeps running backwards at the rate it is, I'll be shitting yellow and riding a dinky. But no, I just got to say that I've just realised that this is being here is some of the few moments in my life where I really get a good laugh, because there's not many laughs out there. But I have a good time here, I have a good laugh, and I hope that I can get a few laughs too. But anyway, thanks very much, poets. Thanks, James. All the good things you're doing for this town and the world, without doubt. My appreciation and thanks. And now, folks, I'm going to open my present.
Did we sing?
Yeah, I've already sang. No, I'm going to sing a song.
No.
I'm so overcome with
No,
emotion.
Sharon,
Thank God.
Look, is that the Ballarat newspaper?
Now that's the Ballarat Times. It says a whale of a time, Ballarat Times. I've got a Christmas card. I'll take that home and wrap that at home. Julie always sends thoughtful presents to me. She's done that forever. Now this one's Stan and Ollie. a DVD, I think they call those things, a disc or something, Stan and Ollie. Two very funny fellas. I think they're still with us, I'm not sure.
That's a good one.
Now this one, wow. Gee, nice card from Julie and again, and there's something in here.
Bloody mother.
500 Scotch peanut bars.
To share. They're to share.
Scotch peanut bars!
Oh, how I love them.
These are gripe pills in case you're backed up and you've got to go to the toilet.
With too much peanut brittle.
Yeah, they're humbugs.
Russo, no?
Now this book here
Oh, Sam Phillips.
is about Sam Phillips, a visionary, the first guy that recorded Elvis Presley by a great serendipitous accident. Now, you might know this, that Elvis cut a record, a shellac, a small record for his mum. A very sentimental man, Elvis. And he sang that song and he disappeared. He was a truck driver. And what happened, they had a person brought a song in and they needed somebody. Is that a wind-up, Suzanne? Is that a wind-up? It's a wind-up, is it? Okay, I'll talk faster. I'll talk faster.
It's his party, baby. You don't
I'm getting wound up. I'm getting a wind up. Anyway, Sam Phillips, and then now he had two secretaries, a good-looking one that he was having a good time with, and a pretty plain one that done all the work. And the pretty plain one remembered Elvis and suggested to Sam that he should record that song.
Is that how it all...
That's how Elvis, so that was a serendipitous, right? And that girl ended up getting the short end of the pineapple with Sam, and she went away and joined the Air Force, was never seen again, but she remembered Elvis and got Elvis to record that song, and that's what started Elvis's career. Look, thanks Julie, I'm a big fan of Elvis, a big fan of Sam, and I'm going to read this thoroughly because I'm very interested in those times. It's a very great time. Thanks again, Julie.
You got my
Sing a song, sing a
All right,
song.
all right.
Song a sing.
Yeah, rock and roll.
What have we got to do?
No, sing a song.
No, you got to sing the song that Elvis Presley.
I'm too overcome to sing.
I need to him to do
Oh,
it.
no, I'm too emotional to sing.
That's the idea.
It's a party.
All right.
Such a party self.
Well, I'll give it a go, but like the last time when I said I would go dry and not be able to sing the song, if I think that's what happens, so. But yeah, we just suffer our way through it, don't we? Right? We just suffer our way through the moments of silence when I can't remember the words. Anyway, I'll do it because time's running out. Look, time's running out. Time's running out. Everyone's getting older.
Bullshit.
Convince us it's not running out.
No, time's running out.
Hypnotise us and convince us. We don't want it to run out.
We're on
Time's
Corey
running out.
time,
And everyone's getting older, so I better sing this song and get off. Okay. Now, it's going to be. I didn't know I'd have 500 Scotch peanut bars, but I bought a Snicker.
Made in China.
Made in China. You've been watching the show. Okay. China, are made in China. No, China is a suburb outside of Toorak or something in Melbourne. No, it's not. It's not the China. It's another China. So a snicker for anyone who can tell me who's sang this song, made a big hit out of this song. A snicker. Just one, Gladys. I know that you're a free snicker person.
Can I swap it for a scorched peanut bar?
I think I've still got the 3 in the fridge.
I just put the snicker here.
can't.
Just keep your eye on the prize.
I'm obsessed by those white rocky row up at the Bakers. Oh. So beautiful. Beautiful, aren't they?
Well, it's hard to beat a cream bun and chocolate milk, isn't it, Ashley? Okay.
Yeah, they're a bit emotional there, but.
I am emotional.
The chocolate milk.
No, it's a big night. It's a big night. Okay.
Quick more.
I'm going to have a go at singing this song now.
Love me tender.
That just made me forget the song saying that. Now I forgot the song. I have to be rebooted. I have to be rebooted. Okay. One by one, they're turning out the lights. I've been feeding that old jukebox. I want to hold you tight. I guess it's for the best. I just put in my last time. Heard you whisper we'll meet again. Another place, another time. Chairs are stacked all over tables. It's closing time, they say. I'd wait right here forever if they'd only let me stay. Any place would be better than that lonely room of mine. For a sleepless night and I'm waiting for another place, another time. Won't that room of mine be a lonely place to be? After I've been holding you so close to me. Won't that old stairway be a little hard to climb to a lonely room and wait for another place, another time? Chairs are stacked all over tables. It's closing time, they say. I'd wait right here forever if they'd only let me stay. Any place would be better than that lonely room of mine. To a sleepless night and I wait for another place one more time.
Wow.
Now, do we have a winner?
Yes, me.
Don't. That's not me.
What was the song?
I don't know.
No, the prize is the
You get a
Snickers.
snicker, mate, you get a snicker.
I'd guess Hank Williams.
No, not quite. Any other good guesses?
No, I just want the Snickers.
Just a free snicker, eh?
Yeah.
I got an
Look,
answer.
it was
Good
a,
straight shoes.
it was a hit this time. So
Was it
how about I
Elvis?
say Paul Wood?
Have a snick. Have a snicker, Sue, and good night!
Did you make that up?
You just make that up.
Oh, I thought he.
Wow.
You gave him the
That's
prize.
funny.
Happy birthday, Paul.
Yeah.
All right. So our next poet tonight, who's going to get up and get straight on into it, is Gladys Wilson, who's got a poem from Myra Sweeney.
Well, firstly, I'd just like to wish Paul a happy birthday and hope he has a good day.
Thank you, Gladys.
And it's lovely to have him here because he's such a bundle of fun.
Thank you.
And I don't think this really is. I know he likes his own face. So I wish him all the very best on this day. And at any rate, I'm going to wish all, hopefully all the other sitters come here.
You got
very
it wrong, Gladys.
good.
He's a bundle of peanut bars.
Yeah, I know. But at any rate, I wish to hope all you here and have a good night, and it's lovely to have you all here too. But at any rate, I'll move on. The Angels in the Rose Bush, this is, and it's by Myra Sweeney, and Myra Sweeney was a Ramage and of course was related to me. So anyhow, this is what she has written down. She's a talented poet and a very talented lady in all aspects. And at any rate, I pay tribute to her tonight because without this book, I wouldn't be reading it. The Angels in the Rose Bush. There is a rose bush in my garden with blooms so sweet and rare, and every time the petals fall, I can see an angel there. The angels in the rose bush always make me cry. Why can't the roses keep on blooming? Why do they fade and die? Somewhere there's another place where there is peace and love, where roses bloom forever. It's a lovely garden up above. When I stop there in the rose bush, the sun comes shining through. Down there amongst the petals, I see a gentle face I knew. It's the face of my mother. She was the sweetest rose of all. That's why I see an angel every time the petals fall. Thank you, John.
Thank you. Before you go,
Yes.
I just wanted to ask you, how's Myra Sweeney related to you?
Well, she was a Ramage, and the Ramages, my great grandmothers were Ramages.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Well, you want me? I'm going to invite Sierra up.
Okay.
All right, Sierra, come on over.
Hello. Hi. So, last, am I in the right spot?
Mm-hmm.
Alright.
Oh, I'll have to put that up for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's this tall ones. Not us shrinking violets.
Hello. Alright. Yeah. So, last week, the poem I read out was written by my mother and I when I was a child. I thought that this week I would read out a poem that I've written on my own, or a few poems, and also a poem that Ian's written. Since coming last week, he became inspired to write a few haikus.
Yes!
So
Another one! I've got another one!
another victim. So yeah,
17.
17.
It's the 575. 17.
Oh, that's
I'm
it.
in church counting
Yeah.
with Mr. Graves.
Yeah, he's the haiku man. So, the first poem I'm going to read out was the first poem that I wrote independently of anybody. My best friend from high school, she writes a lot of poetry. She sent me a bunch of her poetry and was like, "You should totally write poetry." So I wrote this one. It's inspired by my little hermaphrodite cat. Her name is Biscuit. She's awesome. She has a penis and a vagina. Shout out to her.
I got that.
So the poem's called House Panther. Tiny paw prints on my naked breast, you chirp, mimicking your morning prey. A hungry cuckoo, how sneaky you are. Your winter coat beckons my numb fingers as you press our chins to touch. I've missed you, sweet predator. What did you snatch as I dozed? A housefly? A silverfish? It's not in your nature to boast. Here, rest in the crook of my arm and dream of deer-like spiders. So, that one's just about her waking up in the morning. Next, I'll read out one of Ian's haikus. Now, these next two that I've got are kind of like a garden theme. In our front yard, we had not been paying. It's not a haiku?
No.
Isn't it?
No. And
Oh, no, it's not. Sorry.
Neither of them actually are
Oh,
technically.
okay.
That
A bunch
one's
of the
not.
other ones are then. This one's not a haiku. Ian and I went into our front yard the other day and discovered a bunch of mushrooms had grown. And they were like each about this big. And there were like 20 of them. And we just not even noticed as they grew.
What colour?
Orange.
Not fun.
Orange and
Yeah.
brown. But they didn't look very nice at all. So Ian was inspired and wrote a poem about it. So the poem is, it's called Mushroom. When the rain has been and gone, and out comes the sun, you spring up from the fresh mowed lawn. Many of you, not just one. So, thank you, Ian. Now, the last poem I read out tonight is one that I wrote recently. I think it's my second most recent poem. I wrote it last week because my garlic in my garden began to sprout. And I love them, love my little garlic guys. So it's called Garlic in My Garden. Spindly green fingers push up from the earth, tickling and teasing the belly of the sky. She laughs, her heavy chest bellowing as her tears sprinkle upon their palms. Though the day will come when their fingers will begin to wither, the months of laughter taking their toll, I promise to hold your hand, to lift you from the earth, and enjoy your pungence for months to come.
Wow.
I'll read out one more of Ian's. It's called Anti-Haiku. So,
What?
Anti-Haiku. Yeah, so it goes. I do refuse to follow simple haiku rules. I guess this is just some prose.
Well, come over.
Wow.
Well, Sierra, Ian, whoa, I'm all tingly and everything because like you just like said that someone's been inspired to write poetry, like I'm the mad poet.
Contagious.
I don't know if this is a word, but I made it up. It is now. It's sort of like podcast, but it's poetcast. This is our podcast. Sounds like podcast, doesn't it?
No wonder you liked La Semeur.
Well, I don't know what that means, but anyway.
The
It's
French-
probably not
French-
our stuff.
You know the French poem where he's doing all
that one. Oh,
the dust.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. Be careful of whatever mushrooms that you do find, because there's been about 14 people hospitalised this year from maybe eating the wrong mushrooms that are growing in Victoria because there's been so many fungi around.
Brent's dog ate
I'm a
one
fun
of
guy.
The white ones with the gold on top, like tripping.
Wow.
Take it to the vet. It's just, like, all
Yeah, well, they can
all
actually
day, it's just
destroy.
red.
They can actually destroy your liver.
Yeah.
Although I did there,
That's why it's
but
never regrown.
your liver does regrow.
Too many lockdowns
Just don't get more
destroy
than
it.
90% of it.
Sorry.
Just don't kill more than like 90% of it.
Yeah, that's right. And an interesting thing, a guy I met over at Mulwillumbah tried this one that breaks down your liver, and he reckoned that his liver regrew and it repaired after years of alcohol damage. So, I mean, that's a pretty big risk to take, but, you know, probably best not to touch those things. All right, well, on that note,
Lockdowns destroy fungus. Lockdowns destroy fungus.
fungus too.
Too many lockdowns.
Really?
Stuff the whole country.
Wow, that's the biggest organism in the world, is a
Don't
mushroom.
knock me down.
All right, look, we better move on because we've got poetry to do here, and I've lost, who we got?
Where's
Oh,
Paul?
we're looking, is Paul Robertson around? Have we got Shano around anywhere? Shano!
He's gone.
Yes!
He's gone.
Shano!
He's gone. Ain't worried about that.
Oh, well, looks like I'll have
We've got J-Lo.
I'll have to do a song. Look, I've been practicing a Samoan love song. So I'm actually going to do a Samoan love song, but I'm going to read it to you first, the English translation. And it's Wala Le Le O Dia is the name of the song. You are beautiful. So you are beautiful, making you unforgettable, dear. You are beautiful, dear. You are beautiful, dear. Days and nights, do not forget your love, dear. Now that is the chorus. It's repeated twice. Difficult relationships, but separation again. It brings tears to miss you, dear. Then the chorus. Sleep challenge, so important in the oceans. Stay warm. The love you brought for me, dear. I think your eyes stir up love. Remember the vows that are dead. Day and night, do not forget your love, dear. Now, that's the English version, and I'm going to sing it for you. So, but it looks like Shano's here. Hey, are you there, Shano?
I'm here, mate.
All right, here he is.
Right. For those of you who haven't met me, my name's Shano, and I've got a poem for you today. My poem is about one of the towering giants of Australian politics the last century. I know some of you are thinking it's Gough. Well, you're wrong. It's not even ScoMo. This is called Ode to Pauline, all right? And when I say ode, I don't mean like I have to give her a pack of smokes or something or $20. I mean
Peanut bar.
a peanut bar, yeah. Here we go. Look, this is a whole bloody 2.5 pages long. This is the most I've ever written in my life. Rightio. Ode to Pauline, here we go. She keeps the bastards honest. She's got the bastards sussed. I hate to break this to you, but she's the redhead we can trust. She's a battler, she's a hero, a Polly who's true blue. She's a living bloody legend, and a fucking ranger too. Pauline's a classy lady. She dresses kind of snazzy. And she's a ginger from a crest to a little map of Tassie. Pauline is so fair dinkum, she's totally legit. Only lefty fuckheads would say she's full of shit. She'll save us from the curry bunches, Chinks and Pakistanis. She'll save us from the commies and the vegans and the trannies. She'll save us from the aliens and from the eve of destruction. She'll save us from the greenies and from chronic bowel obstruction. Pauline's too good for fish and chips. She needs to be PM. Excuse me for a moment while I cough up a bit of phlegm. So yeah, I like the way she calls them out. I love the way she disses. I think I've got the hots for her, so please don't tell the missus. Pauline's my one true love, the nation's Joan of Arc. And in my dreams, she's always given me a blowy in the park.
New step.
That sucks, so does Pauline, by the sound of it.
New step.
Ooh, ah. Glenn McGrath. Okay, thank you very much, Shano. Well, we're just about to wrap up for the night here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. This week, tomorrow night, what's today? Today's Wednesday, tomorrow night's Thursday. We've got Glenn Screwthorpe coming here. Our tickets are $20. And Sunday evening, we've got the Soul Express with Laura Zarb, which is 6 o'clock, $20 again. There'll be meals available. And
6 on Sunday.
6 on Sunday, yeah. And it's a cabaret here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. All right, I'm going to race over there in just a moment, and I'm going to put on the backing music to, so we're going to sing the show out with a Samoan love song here from the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. So, off I go. Wow. Yeah, I know.
I don't know,
Yeah. Wow.
but I'm puzzled. Angels in the rose bush. I like that. Chomping on the thorns.
Here we go. Well, dear, Wola lele oe, dia. Amapo elegalo, olualofa, dia. Amapo elegalo, olualofa, dia. Vagata oma fatuaga, mafanai toe valavala, e maligia eloi mata, misia oe dia. Wala lele oe dia. Wala lele oe dia. Amapo elegalo, olualofa, dia. Muiluina tua ivasa, tu mau piale mafana fana, ole wafasai amaia, moa au dia. Ola lele oe dia. Ola lele oe dia. Amapo elegalo, olualofa, dia. O mana tuio fofoga, fa Sofia elelofa, la mana tua lata tua toga, wa odia, ia. Wala lele dia. Wala lele dia. Amapo elegalo, olualofa, that was better than my attempt at Ave Maria last week, wasn't it? All right, thank you to the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. Thank you, all of you, for your wonderful input, your inspiration, those who are inspiring and those who are inspired. And there's one more thing before we go. I'd just like to invite all the poets up here and thank Julie Wood down there in Ballarat and Chrissy from Ballarat for her books as well, to come up and get your scorched peanut bars.
Come on
Come
up.
on up.
Get up there, now get up there.
And this, by the way, is the letter that Chrissy from Ballarat sent us this week. Hi, James. Hi, poets of the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. If the year is meditating a suitable gift, I should like it to be the attitude of my great-great-grandmother, legendary devotee of the arts, Judith Wright.
Wow.
So yeah, the arts rock.
Come on, power, get a start peanut
Get
bar.
your peanut bars.
Hey, announce them, James. Announce them one by one.
All right.
Bring them up.
Come
Bring
on
'em
up.
Come on up.
Ashley, get on over here. Ashley, Albanese. No, not Anthony. It's Ashley. Let us get on over here.
Oh,
There you go. Stick that in your fridge with the other one. All right. Sol, get up here. Even though you didn't do a poem tonight, you get one because you're full of love. Doug, come on down, Doug Adam.
I want to be full of scorched peanut bar.
Yeah. James, get on over here. You're a poet too. You get one. You didn't do a poem tonight.
This ain't the monkey virus, is it?
No, mate. No, it's the elephant
Don't
nut virus.
contaminate me, brother.
James Adam, everyone. Doug Scott. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Paul Robertson, aka Shano.
Yeah,
Got
Shano.
sucked off by Pauline. And Sierra. You better take one here on
Ian,
Ian
get up.
as well because he
Gotta
wrote
get
a
up.
poem.
Gotta get up there.
And Paul. And
What about
looks like
that?
I got half a box for myself.
No such thing as half a
Right,
box,
that's
James.
it. Thank you very much. Don't forget to click on, give it a thumbs up, click on subscribe, click on the bell to stay tuned for notification, and subscribe to the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame so we can go
get off
live on YouTube.
Get
sorry,
off now.
when we get 1,000 subscribers. So share it about. Thank you very much.
Yeah, okay, that's enough.
Where's the bloody birthday cake?